Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take all that information swirling around and, well, give you the really essential stuff you need to know. Today, we're tackling something pretty emotional for a lot of students. That moment when the plan, the one you've maybe spent 2 years focused on, just hits a wall. We're talking about medical admissions, specifically the NEET exam results, and that overwhelming feeling when you don't clear it. We saw this reflected in our source material, actually, starting with a student, Rahul, who felt his whole future was just over.
Yeah, and that feeling is completely understandable. It really is. But we need to push back on that idea straight away. What you, a listener, really need to grasp is that this despair often comes from, well, maybe the biggest myth in secondary education. The idea that medicine, the MBBS path, is the only benchmark for success if you love biology. Our mission today, looking at these sources, is to show you that medicine is just one path. There are countless others, and many of them use the very science foundation you've already built. And honestly, many offer just as much scope, sometimes maybe even better scope, often with less stress, maybe a quicker route to really making an impact. This deep dive, it's about turning that anxiety into a real, actionable plan B, or C, or D.
That's the crucial point. You have the knowledge, the physics, chemistry, biology. So where are the leverage points? This isn't about settling. It's about finding careers that might actually fit you better.
Okay, so let's unpack these pathways. Where do we start? Maybe with the most obvious pivot. Sticking with the science. Exactly. A lot of students who went for PCD, they genuinely loved biology. But that love kind of got overshadowed by the, let's say, glamour or singular focus of becoming a doctor. So now's maybe the perfect chance to return to that core passion, especially in research.
Research and development, R&D. Okay. Sometimes that sounds a bit
Desi.
old labs. But the scope now is huge, right? It's not just botany and zoology anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. Think about fields like biochemistry, genetics. These are driving the future, especially in things like personalized medicine, tailoring treatments to someone's DNA.
Wow, yeah?
Geneticists today could be working with CRISPR technology, literally editing genes to cure diseases. That's huge. More impactful, arguably, than a lot of routine clinical work. Or think about marine biology. Sounds niche, but it's tackling sustainability, climate change, even finding new drugs in the ocean. The demand for sharp researchers is massive because the tech is moving so fast.
That makes sense. That's where the demand is being on the cutting edge. Okay, what about students who took PCMB? The ones who kept up their math skills. Does that give them an edge here?
Oh, a massive edge. That quantitative skill set is a huge leverage point for interdisciplinary fields. Take biostatistics.
Biostats.
It's where math, data science, and life science meet. Every big drug trial, every major public health decision, it hinges on good biostatisticians analyzing enormous amounts of data.
But what if someone chose PCD partly because they didn't love heavy math?
Yeah.
Is biostats just swapping one kind of stress for another?
That's a fair point. It does need an analytical mind, for sure. But it's not always pure abstract math. It's applied statistics, specifically for biological questions. And the payoff, it's huge. It's a skill needed by every pharma company, every big research institute. Then you've got things like biotechnology, biomedical engineering.
Right, applying engineering to medical devices or diagnostics.
Exactly. Designing new tools, improving processes. It combines that interest in health with real technical innovation. Powerful roles.
Okay, so that shifts the focus from the bedside to the lab bench or the design table. But what if someone still feels that pull towards the clinic, towards patients, but maybe not the 8 to 10-year commitment of medicine?
Then we talk about the unsung heroes, the world of allied medicine. These professionals are absolutely the backbone of healthcare operations. It lets you follow that passion for medicine, for diagnosis, patient care, but often with, say, a 2 to 4 year degree, not that decade-long slog.
Right. Professions like optometry, audiology, definitely nursing, medical lab technology, these are vital roles. High skill, but a quicker path to actually working and specializing.
Totally. Think about medical lab techs, MLTs. They're analyzing blood, tissues. Doctors can't diagnose things like cancer or infections without them. They're critical to patient care, even if they're not prescribing.
Yeah, that's true.
Or clinical research folks managing trials, ensuring new drugs are safe, effective. That's direct involvement in health outcomes, just from a different, very important angle.
I think one interesting contrast you mentioned was between physiotherapists and occupational therapists. They sound similar, but their day-to-day is quite different, isn't it? Can you maybe illustrate that?
Sure. So a physiotherapist, or PT, focuses primarily on the physical recovery. Mobility. If someone has a sports injury or needs rehab after surgery, the PT uses exercise, massage, movement techniques to get muscles working again, reduce pain. It's about the physical structure.
Okay, physical structure.
An occupational therapist, an OT, looks at function, helping someone live their normal daily life despite a physical or even mental challenge. So if someone's recovering from a stroke, the OT works on muscle strength, sure, but also trains them how to get dressed again, maybe cook safely, adapt their home. It's about independence and engagement in life, a really specialized, holistic kind of care.
That's a great distinction. Okay, so that takes us beyond the purely clinical. What about sectors using biology but intersecting with, well, big market trends, like wellness? Nutrition and fitness seem to be booming.
Oh, it's a sudden boom, as the source called it, and it's tied directly to global trends. People want personalized health advice beyond just standard medical care. Preventative health is massive now.
Right, so if you've got good communication skills, empathy, you could become a dietitian, a nutritionist, tailoring plans for diabetes or athletes. It seems quite entrepreneurial, too.
Absolutely. Or you could go into sports nutrition, corporate wellness, maybe become a certified yoga practitioner, an advanced fitness trainer. You're directly impacting long-term health and, crucially, no NEET required to start down that path.
Okay, now let's pivot again. From individual wellness to something much bigger, agriculture. I think when students hear agriculture, they picture, well, farming, manual labor. But the sources suggest it's highly technical now, critical for the economy.
Absolutely critical. And we need to get past that old image of just farming. Modern agriculture is advanced science. It's logistics, sustainability, tech application. These are high-tech, essential fields.
So how is something like agricultural engineering or agricultural economics different from, actually working the land?
Well, in agricultural engineering uses biology, chemistry, engineering. Maybe they're designing smart irrigation, developing precision farming machinery, using drones for crop monitoring. They're solving complex technical and logistical problems.
Okay, that's very different.
And an agricultural economist. They're dealing with finance, policy, market dynamics of food production, modeling global supply chains, advising governments on food security. They're in boardrooms, policy meetings. Not necessarily out in the field day to day.
So because agriculture is so vital to the GDP, these specialized roles you mentioned, fisheries, science, dairy, technology too, they're actually quite secure career paths with institutional backing.
Very secure and highly specialized. Fisheries science, for instance, is key for food security and conservation. Managing sustainable fish stocks using biology and stats, it's sophisticated research and resource management. It's applying advanced science to solve fundamental human needs.
Right. And before we move to management, just quickly, pharmacology, that seems like an obvious blend of science, healthcare, research, technology, developing and testing medicines. Huge industry.
Indeed. A vital link between the lab and the patient. Lots of solid opportunities in the pharmaceutical sector there.
Okay. Management. For the student who maybe likes organizing things, enjoys strategy, leadership, the system of healthcare, is that where administration comes in?
That's exactly it. Hospital management, hospital administration. If you find you enjoy organizing resources more than, say, diagnosing illnesses, this is a great path. These pros handle finances, legal stuff, complex supply chains for hospitals, managing staff, ensuring patient care standards are met. And we're kind of the CEOs and COOs of the medical world.
And there's flexibility here too, right? Some programs are master's level, so you could do a BSc in biology first, but there are undergraduate options too.
Yeah, many hospital management tracks are postgraduate, often an MBA specialization after a relevant undergrad like biology. But public health administration, that's often available at the bachelor's level.
And public health is slightly different again.
A bit, yeah. It shifts focus from the individual patient to the health of whole populations. If you're interested in big government health projects, epidemiology, disease prevention strategies, running vaccination campaigns, improving health for disadvantaged groups, public health admin is your ticket. It blends science with sociology, policy. Really interesting mix.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground related to physical health systems, but what about, well, the mental and emotional side? We started by talking about the stress of NEET. What about careers focused on mental well-being?
Yes, absolutely crucial. This
Yeah.
is an area traditional medicine often hasn't focused on enough, and the need is just immense. Clinical psychology is a really strong parallel to a doctor's diagnostic role, but for the mind.
Right, like a diagnostician for mental health.
Exactly. Clinical psychologists work closely with clients, often in healthcare settings like hospitals or clinics. They diagnose and treat serious issues, depression, anxiety disorders, chronic conditions using evidence-based therapies, assessments. You're still diagnosing and treating, just focused differently,
Yeah,
without the prescription pad, usually.
and it branches out from there too, right? Counseling psychology for general well-being, health psychology linking mind and body, neuropsychology. It's a whole field about holistic care.
Definitely. Now, we should probably address the student who might be feeling, after all this neat stress, that
Mm.
maybe biology isn't the path at all anymore. What if you're just unsure?
That's a tough spot. And that's where maybe flexibility is the most important thing. And this is where something like a liberal arts institute approach
Yeah.
could be really valuable. It's kind of designed for that curious but maybe undecided student.
Yeah, the key thing about liberal arts programs is that subject flexibility. You're not locked in. You could combine biology with psychology, sure, but maybe also with maths, economics, even music or entrepreneurship. Your science background becomes a foundation, not a box.
And the learning style is different too, right? More projects, presentations, extracurriculars,
Yeah.
less purely book-focused. Good for someone who didn't love only hitting the book.
Often, yes. It aims for more holistic development, critical thinking, communication skills that are super valuable everywhere. But there's a big caveat here on timing, a really important one.
Ah, yes. Application deadlines.
Exactly. For many top liberal arts colleges, especially international ones or those with specific cycles, applications might have opened way back in October or November. So if you just got your NEET result now, you might need to wait for the next application cycle. Which brings us to that really difficult decision, dropping a year.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge decision.
Right.
And we have to be really careful here, right? It only works for some people and only if done right.
It needs brutal honesty with yourself. Look, if medicine is genuinely your only dream, your absolute non-negotiable goal, and you miss the mark by just a tiny margin, like 5, 10 marks maybe,
Just missed it.
then okay, maybe dropping a year to seriously rework your strategy could make sense. You know the material, you just need to refine the approach.
And this is but don't do it just because friends are or because of pressure. If you miss by a lot or if you're already feeling burnt out.
Yeah, taking a year off without a new, super focused plan, that can be psychologically rough and often doesn't get the result you hope for. You really need to assess your situation, maybe talk to an expert, a career counselor.
That's when I talk to someone.
Huh.
Okay, and finally, let's just free the listener entirely for a moment. From the whole Class 12 stream idea, those 2 years of PCB, they don't have to define the next 40 years, right?
Absolutely not. Your aptitude, your personality, your actual interests, that's what should drive your next move, not just the subjects you took in high school.
The possibilities are huge if you pivot. Management, design, languages, law,
Yeah.
economics, mass communication. The list just goes on.
So what's the takeaway? Knowledge is power here. Before you jump into anything, whether it's R&D or law or something else, maybe invest in a proper career assessment. Find out what really aligns with your unique skills, your personality, your deep interests, not just the career you felt you had to aim for.
Okay, so pulling all this together, that stress over the neat result, it's real, it's natural, but your career, your life, it hasn't ended. It's just beginning a new chapter.
Yeah.
The scope is massive once you look beyond that one closed door.
Right. Stop stressing about the result that's passed. Start focusing on your next move, your next plan. That's the key pivot.
And as you think about that next move, here's the final thought we want to leave you with today. Consider all these specialized fields we've talked about. Maybe agricultural engineering, creating sustainable systems, or biostatistics, finding patterns in health data, or clinical psychology, focusing on mental wellness. Which one of these might actually fit your unique skills and passions so well that it could be a fundamentally better, more fulfilling path for you than the medical career you first imagined?